I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
Have you joined the fastest growing fantasy motorsports app yet? On Grid Rival, you can join leagues with your friends and manage your own fantasy team on what race fans are calling, hands down, the best fantasy motorsport app out there. F1 and MotoGP leagues are now live for the 2021 season. Joining a league on Grid Rival will make every race more exciting, more engaging, and of course, more competitive. Download Grid Rival now on your iPhone or Android smartphone. Grid Rival is an unofficial application and not associated with Formula One, MotoGP or any of their athletes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the National Racing Network, where tonight we are proud to present the Grid Rival ESRA INDYCAR Series, round number 5 on the season. Following a dominant performance 1 week ago by Connor Baldwin at the Red Bull Ring, the series heads tonight to Pocono Raceway for a 100-lap just about anyway, full-length feature event. Looking forward to a really fun night of racing here. 4 different winners in 4 different races this season for the Grid Rival ESRA IndyCar Series. Charles Teed claiming the win at Auto Club Speedway. He is always going to be a dominant force on these super speedways. Eric Schaus getting the win at Watkins Glen. Nick DeGroot getting the win at Twin Ring Motegi. And Connor Baldwin, your winner, as we mentioned last week at the Red Bull Ring. None of those 4 drivers, well, with the exception of Charles Teed anyway, are entered in tonight's race. So unless Charles Teed wins this race tonight, we will once again have another unique winner here this season. Victor Aldrich going to be your quick timer thus far as he makes his way down towards the tunnel turn. We'll show you the qualifying laps as they come in. New quick time, top of the board, Charles Teed, 41.562 seconds. Follow along with Aldrich as he completes lap number 2, and it will be a little bit slower than what we saw on lap number 1. 41.68 to the 41.62 he ran on lap number 1. Here's Charles Teed making his way down towards turn number 3. Matt Wagner going to move up to second, quick with a lap in the books, 41.589 seconds. This one's going to be very, very tight here at the front of the field. Less than a half second separating first through 11th right now. Teed's second lap going to be just a tick slower once again. Here's Wagner making his way down towards turn 2. A little bit of a surprise to see James Watson all the way back there in the 11th position. See what he's going to be able to come up with here on lap number 2 as well. Wagner's second lap a little bit slower, as is Watson's. It's going to put Jason Hand on the clock here. He's going to move himself up to the 9th position, 41.826 seconds. Surprise of the day here. Cullen Johnston not getting a lap in the books. Well, he's going to be 12th quick with his second lap, 41.96 seconds. Have yet to see Zach Evans, Jeff Destino, or Joseph Morales get out onto the racetrack. Here is Jason Hand working the conclusion of his second lap, and he's going to come to a stop at the entrance to turn number 3. So looks like that'll be the end of the run for Jason Hand. Here's Matt Wagner making his way down the pit lane as well. So looks like qualification's going to be just about wrapped up here. And I tell you what, if the racing is tight on the racetrack, how about this for point standings? We are looking at a 6-point gap separating first through fourth, and it's only 30 points back to sixth place Lee Huber. To find a 50-point gap, you got to go all the way back to 11th place, Jeff Destino. J.W. Miller, currently your points leader, sitting on 130 markers. 127 to Matt Wagner, holding on to that second position. 126 for Charles Teed, as qualifications have come to a conclusion. Connor Baldwin going to be fourth in points at 124. Alec Coates at 113. Lee Huber in sixth at 100 points. Only 30 separating these teams here these drivers, I should say, at the front of the field. The team standings are just as tight. Dark Horse Indy sitting on 121.3 points, 116.1 for Team Watson Racing, the mothership. Team Watson Grape at 96 points, Team Watson San Jose at 85. Mediocre Motorsports and Team Ball Racing going to round out the field on the team side of things here. So field getting ready to grid up, and let's pull up the blimp shot from high overhead. Pocono Raceway, the NRN drone, and we'll get you tonight's starting lineup. Charles Teed and Matt Wagner going to occupy the front row, 27 thousandths of a second separating those two drivers. Vic Aldrich, Lee Huber on row number 2. Ty Richter and Jim Brooks on row number 3. You got to go all the way back to sixth place Jim Brooks to find 1/10 of a second in qualifications. TJ McMurray and Matt Jorgensen on row number 4. Row 5, we'll see Jason Hand and Mike Barry. J.W. Miller and Cullen Johnston on row number 6. Row 7, James Watson and Joseph Morales. Watson, the slowest of the cars to take a time here this evening. Jeff Destino and Zach Evans are going to round out your field here this evening. Waiting on Miller and Evans to take their place on the starting grid. See if we can't sneak in a quick word here with your pole sitter tonight, Charles Teed. And Charles, congratulations on picking up a Grid Rival pole award here this evening. I would imagine looking to do some pretty big things with it here as the grid starts to roll off.
We'll see. Yeah, thank you, Chris. I think it's going to really come down to fuel mileage here. So of all the tracks that I needed a pole at, this probably isn't the one. I would have rather Matt got it, but I think we're going to just try and save fuel and get there to the end on this. This is going to be a marathon race. But yeah, I'm surprised I was as quick as I was because I ran 3 practice laps and it's quick. So let's see if we can beat these sons of guns.
I was going to say, it looks like if you can go 25 laps, you can make it a 3-stop race.
That's the
goal.
goal.
How tight is that going to be? Are you going to need some caution help, or do you think you can do it without?
So I ran 3 race laps, and I could do 23.8. So that was in full rich map 1. I think it can be done. I think it'll need to be done to win. Someone's going to be able to pull it off. So unless a caution happens at some weird time. So yeah, it's I think the goal right away is just to get away from the pack a little bit and get away from any of the action, and then settle down and hopefully swap with Matt and save fuel together.
All right, Charles, thank you very much, bud. We appreciate
Thanks,
the
bud.
time, and good luck tonight. There you go. There's Charles Teed, your pole sitter, and field's going to come around off of turn 3 here momentarily. Let's give you the weather conditions presented by our friends at the Weather Center. Scorching hot day in northeast Pennsylvania, 79-degree ambient, but look at that track temperature, 122 degrees. This place is going to be slick. Winds out of the north at 2 miles an hour. The ambient temperature isn't crazy. It's what's going to be coming in when they get to turn number 1 here. As always, race fans, the start of the Grid Rival ESRA INDYCAR series going to be all yours. Off at turn number 3 for the first time, Charles Teed going to lead lap number 1. Vic Aldrich going to hold on to second. Trouble towards the back of the pack. Looks like an issue for Matt Jorgensen. Also, TJ McMurray having a bit of an issue. Big time battle here for second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. That's going to be Matt Wagner, Ty Richter, Lee Huber, Vic Aldrich all the way back to fifth. Jim Brooks also there along with Mike Barry and J.W. Miller. Caution is out. Yellow flag on the speedway. Take a look here. Early troubles for Matt Jorgensen. Oh, big time contact. Up hard into the outside wall. The Red Bull machine of Jorgensen going to be wadded up inside of the short chute between turns 2 and 3. Pretty scary incident there for Jorgensen. TJ McMurray having an issue as well. Looks like the reason for the caution, was going to be Matt Jorgensen trying to drive that car back. Now, this definitely opens up some of the strategy games, though. They got the early caution that they needed here. Charles Teed over Matt Wagner, Ty Richter, Lee Huber, and Vic Aldrich, your top 5. You almost wonder if this was a little bit of a strategy call by James Watson to hang out towards the back a little bit here and start some fuel saving early on. Fields working lap number 3 here of 100. The race does have an hour and 45-minute time limit attached to it. We'll see. I would imagine that's only going to come into play if we get several caution flags here. Let's take a look at the comments here. 90210 is now hosting you. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate that one, buddy. In my opinion, IndyCar should run the road course here if they ever to go back. No. No, no, no. This is a racetrack built for IndyCars. They belong on this racetrack. Quite frankly, it amounts to the drivers need to be a little bit more considerate of each other. Every big wreck we've seen at Pocono has directly been driver error. Nick DeGroot checking in. I'll be missing tonight's race. Good luck, everybody. Tough one there for Nick. I would imagine probably down covering the U.S. Grand Prix there at Circuit of the Americas. Yeah, big wreck in the tunnel turn. With the early caution, does the fuel save matter? I don't necessarily think so. You're going to probably get the mileage here. The question is, does it get you enough to open that 3-stop strategy? That's what I'm a little bit unsure of. I would tend to think 2 cautions would definitely get you there. More likely than not, you're going to have to see another one in pretty quick succession here. And we may see that. I mean, the track temp at 122 degrees is really pretty crazy. Let's try to get a word in here as we are under caution with our, well, a guy who's going to be in the booth with us here in just a little bit, James Watson. And James, track temperature over 120 degrees tonight. Is that something you were anticipating?
No, but it doesn't seem too bad. I've definitely had a lot more races at Pocono in this car with a lot more grip, or a lot less grip, rather. The setup feels pretty good, so it's kind of trying to survive and see if there's any type of fuel strategy we can get to help us out here.
I was going to say, does one caution get you to where you need to be on the fuel number, or are you going to have to see another one before you really feel confident in the three-stopper?
Yeah, probably. This car just absolutely chugs fuel, so we're going to need a lot to help to make anything crazy work out in our favor.
All right, buddy. Well, good luck, and we'll be talking to you in just a little bit here on the Indy Pro 2000 broadcast as well.
Heck yeah.
So there you go. There's James Watson. Yeah, here seeing the comment. It looks slidey. Maybe a little bit. I would imagine the push off the tunnel turn is not going to be real comfortable. Some of these drivers run some really exotic anti-roll bar and weight jacker setups as well. This is a fixed setup league. So in order to make the car handle the way you want it to, you have to play with the anti-roll bars and the weight jackers a ton. Hearing numbers as high as plus 15 on the weight jacker to try to loosen the car up. The only problem with that is it's going to absolutely burn off the right rear tire. So you can't go too crazy, but at the same time, you need the car to feel pretty comfortable as well. As the lights are out on the iRacing safety car, we are going to go back to green flag racing here. Single file down off of turn number 3, Charles Teed, Matt Wagner, Ty Richter, Lee Huber, Vic Aldrich, your top 5. We're back underway at Pocono. They'll stay single file. First side-by-side battle is going to be back just a little bit here. That was Joseph Morales and Mike Barry. Barry getting around the outside. He's going to try to get around the outside of James Watson here into the tunnel turn. Very early in this race to be battling side by side. And we are seeing the same thing just ahead of him. Oh, one car possibly up into the outside wall. J.W. Miller working around some of the lap traffic. Barry getting caught up on the outside. Slide back towards the front of the field. Charles Teed, your race leader, over Matt Wagner and Ty Richter. No change here at the front of the field. And we may not see much of that. Teed absolutely trying to break the draft. Tail of the Dragon heading down that Long Pond straightaway between turns 1 and 2. Some interesting pit strategy calls here is J.W. Miller, Mike Barry, Joseph Morales, James Watson, and Cullen Johnston all coming down the pit lane. They took fuel early on here, so the strategy games are definitely going to be in play with stops at lap 3 and lap number 4. Matt Wagner set the fastest lap of the race last time by at a 41.826. See what they're going to do this time as they work their way down the front straightaway. Wagner a little bit off of his best time. Lee Hubert, Jim Brooks, Vic Aldrich all going personal bests. Slide back here and pick up that battle between Hubert and Brooks as they come off the turn number 2. Brooks going to have the peak down to the inside. Oh, man, almost got a little bit of a push towards that outside wall on the exit at turn number 2. The 3 corners at Pocono designed after Trenton Speedway, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and the Milwaukee Mile. Turn number 1, pretty high banked, significantly steeper than it looks on entry, really shoots you off towards the outside safer barrier on corner exit. Turn number 2, banked at 9 degrees, 90-degree radius, identical to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Not necessarily driven like any of the corners at Indianapolis, though. Then they get off into turn 3, almost bone flat, about 4 degrees of banking. Very similar to what you see at the Milwaukee Mile. 3 great racetracks for the Indy cars, all merged here into one. Joseph Morales going to be battling with, trying to catch up to Jeff Destino. Morales way wide in turn number 1. Going to give up a little bit of ground. At this point, we're definitely in a little bit of settle mode. Get yourself locked in where you're going to run. Work on what your fuel mileage numbers are going to be. We say that the battle for the lead starting to tighten up here as Matt Wagner able to hold on to the draft of Charles Teed. Same cannot be said for Ty Richter. He's losing a little bit of ground. So field working lap number 13, and this is one of those races we're really going to get to be able to interact with you guys in the comments. So give us a shout. Let us know where you're watching from. Thank you, everybody who's tuning in here on Twitch and on YouTube. Slide back in the pack a little bit here. We'll pick up Jeff Destino and Joseph Morales. Destino in the black Team Watson Racing San Jose colored front wing. You can identify the Team Watson cars. The Team Watson entries have the yellow front wings. The green front wing plates, main plates, are San Jose. And that kind of obnoxious pink shade is going to be the Great Division. 90210, watching from a rainy Toronto, Canada. Well, thank you much for hanging out with us here. If it's rainy, that means it's a great night for poutine. Still going to be keeping an eye a little bit here on the pit strategies. Theoretically, the cars that stopped at lap 3 could make it out to about lap number 30. We'll see here as Morales and Destino going to battle into turn 2. Morales way up against the outside wall. That's not a fun spot to be in. Destino able to hold down that inside lane, and he'll keep the momentum wound up through turn number 3. Morales looks like he may have a little bit of a handful here. Car just seems like it does not want to turn. Take a look here, and we'll go on board. He's able to clear Destino. That's going to put the 42 machine right back into the clutches of J.W. Miller. Miller, the Castrol All-American Eagle. The throwback into turn number 1. James Watson going to be right there as well with Cullen Johnston. These cars pretty obviously in a heavy fuel save mode here. Race leaders turning laps of 4180, 4170, right in that ballpark. These cars up over 42 seconds. So try to conserve some fuel, see how long you can make it last. Speeds entering turn number 1 upwards of 240 miles an hour for the Indy cars. It is one of the most incredible sights in all of motorsports. I am one of the lucky few that have been able to see that start. When they come off at turn 3 and fan out 4-5 wide, it's giving me goosebumps here thinking about it. Absolutely incredible. These cars really do belong back on the oval at Poconos. J.W. Miller going to have the look down to the inside into turn number 1. Destino not going to put up much of a fight there as Miller clears, but on exit, ooh, things get a little spicy there. Good question here from 902-1 owned. If we get a yellow, we are absolutely going to ask this question. With the surface temp what it is, do tires matter now? I would imagine at least a little bit. You're going to change them every time because you have to take a full load of fuel, and they have 4 sets of tires available. So unless you were going to try to do something goofy here early on and maybe check your tire wear if you didn't get a full stint in practice, I would tend to think you'd probably be able to make these Firestone Firehawks last. There could be an advantage, especially to some of the cars like Barry, Morales, Miller, Watson. They all stopped on lap 3 or lap 4. The big difference there is it's only a couple of laps, but they theoretically could save a set of tires for a late race caution if one were to happen. This battle still side by side down towards turn 2. Miller able to clear Destino once again. Story now going to become, when do we see your race leaders pit, as we pick up Charles Teed back at the front of the field. Teed working lap number 22. He has a half-second lead over Matt Wagner. It's 2 seconds back to Ty Richter in third. 4th place running Jim Brooks is another 2/3 of a second or so behind Richter. And then you have I can talk, I promise. At least 1 second gap all the way around here. This race has definitely settled down now that J.W. Miller able to fully clear Jeff Destino. That's going to put Destino back into the clutches of James Watson in what will now be the battle for the 10th position. Watson going to try to make the outside move. Yeah, 90210. I'm more thinking with the surface temp being so high, just going full send and doing an extra stop because of wanting the fresh rubber. That's a great call, potentially. If you have to back off and fuel save, we haven't seen anybody do it yet, so it looks like they're all going to get to lap number 25. The problem is you're going to need a caution each stint in order to make that 3-stop strategy work. So I would tend to think you're going to go as long as you possibly can here in stint number 1. And then from there, you're going to see how the strategy is going to have to play out for you. So lap 25 is up on the board right now. This is the mark that they were all looking to hit. And with those 5 laps of caution that we had because of the lap 1 incident, you're really kind of talking about getting to lap, the window really opens here, lap 25, maybe lap 26. There's your answer. First car down pit lane will be Charles Teed. He's going to bring Ty Richter and Jim Brooks with him. So first stop's coming here at lap 25. Or at least for some of these cars anyway. Matt Wagner, Lee Huber, Vic Aldrich, all able to stay out on the racetrack. Wagner stayed in behind Charles Teed this entire time. So he may have saved a lap or more of fuel. Oh, looks like we may have a penalty for Charles Teed. He's over 15 seconds on pit road. Teed still sitting stationary. Wagner and Aldrich are on their way in. This would be a 40-second penalty for speeding on pit road. It just about puts you a full lap down by the time you get back up to speed. Charles Teed, your pole sitter and early race leader, will likely be 1 lap down. He's down and away, 48.53 seconds. Here comes Matt Wagner on his way out of the pits. Lee Huber still has not stopped yet. Now here comes Huber in the AlphaTauri number 19. That's going to promote Mike Barry to the race lead in the 65. Barry stopping at lap number 4. J.W. Miller, James Watson now running 2nd and 3rd. So stops coming anywhere from lap 25, lap 26. One car stopping at lap number 27. So if the math holds, anywhere from the completion of lap number 29 to lap 32 or so is when we could see Mike Barry come into the pits. That could be a huge early pit stop coming in on lap 3, lap 4. Between the caution and the stop that came with it, that may buy you just enough fuel to make it to the end on 3 stops. As Barry going to fall in line behind Jeff Destino. He will happily sit there and take all the draft he possibly can. In the beverage number 65, Barry ordinarily running 7-Up colors on his cars. J.W. Miller, James Watson making their way down pit lane out of 2nd and 3rd. Cullen Johnston pitting as well. Looks like Barry may have had to go into extreme fuel save mode here. Barry's speed currently 171 miles an hour. And so, oh, you can hear him. He's out of fuel. Mike Barry out of fuel. Gets it onto the apron in turn number 3, but that is not what Mike Barry wanted to do. Tried to stretch it 1 lap too far, basically. He comes down pit road. Here's Matt Wagner making his way off of turn number 2. So we've got a new race leader at the head of the field, and it will be Matt Wagner. How about it? There's Charles Teed just ahead of Wagner. That's how much time he lost. Teed is only a handful of car lengths from going a lap down. Matt Wagner 4 seconds up on Ty Richter. Richter's going to have to contend with Jim Brooks in the battle for the second position. Here comes Teed having to look down to the inside, or excuse me, Brooks having to look down to the inside of turn 1. He'll get the pass completed. Ty Richter slides up the racetrack just a little bit. Yeah, see, the comment here, Teed needs a caution bad. Yes, he does, in a very, very big way. Now, they're teammates, so I don't know that Wagner's really going to go after him all that hard. So long as Teed's not holding him up, which he's not going to, there was no damage. It's just a pit road speeding penalty. Not a lot of incentive for Matt Wagner to get out in front of Charles Teed. Maybe get a little bit of help from your teammate, make a ton of fuel mileage, run your stops concurrently the rest of the race, and Charles Teed could pull Matt Wagner to a victory here. Ty Richter sitting on that spot with Jim Brooks. There you see 4th place Vic Aldrich making his way into turn number 1. And you've got to go a long way back to find 6th place running J.W. Miller all by his lonesome off into turn number 1. James Watson about a 2nd and a 3rd behind. And then it's another 12 seconds back to Mike Barry. Really nothing in the way of a battle going on right now is Jim Brooks opening up the gap on Ty Richter just a little bit here. Now looking at where the next round of stops is going to be coming here. We would anticipate those probably right about lap number 29 or so. The pit window, I'm sorry, let me correct myself on that one here a second. The cars that stopped at lap number 25 and 26 are going to have to come around lap 44, lap 45. The cars that made it out to lap 29 can go anywhere from 48 to 56. Again, if you get to lap 52 or so, you're right in that window of barely making this work. Show you the gaps here of who's running where on the racetrack. Only 8 cars remain on the lead lap. Charles Teed, Lee Huber, Joseph Morales, Jeff Destino, TJ McMurray all 1 lap down. Jason Hand, Matt Jorgensen 2 laps in arrears. Zach Evans did not start here this evening. The bigger number to look at though are the intervals. There is nobody close to one another at this point. We are truly in a fuel mileage race, which is what you would expect at Pocono. Ty Richter making up a little bit of time closing on Jim Brooks. The issue is you can fuel save, but you can't lose sight of the leaders. Looking at pit delta times of right about 44 seconds. As it stands right now, looking at Matt Wagner, he would come out right behind Charles Teed. And Wagner did come around Teed, so a little bit of a surprise there to see Wagner not taking full advantage of the fuel saving on offer. Matt Wagner still your race leader here at Pocono as we work now lap number 41. Pretty quickly closing in on the halfway point. Wagner holds a 2.7 second lead over Jim Brooks. Brooks going to start getting a little bit of drafting help from some lap traffic. Ty Richter holds on to the third position. Looks like Lee Huber also having a pit road speeding penalty last time by. His stop 50.05 seconds. Same for Joseph Morales and Jeff Destino. Vic Aldrich in the Nitro Circus. Team Watson Racing number 98. Currently holds on to the fourth position. Only driver without a penalty to have lost positions at this point in the race. A couple of hard chargers just back behind. J.W. Miller running in the fifth position. Miller entering the night as the points leader, but Matt Wagner in pretty good shape here to retake the points lead following this race. Coming up next week, a trip to Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. Follow it up with a trip to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, then the Long Beach Grand Prix circuit, followed by the Iowa Speedway, before we take the week off for Thanksgiving. A lot of variety coming up here on the Grid Rival ESRA INDYCAR Series. So before we get to our next set of potentially green flag pit stops, let's take a moment here and get a quick word in from our title sponsor, Grid Rival.
Have you joined the fastest growing fantasy motorsports app yet? On Grid Rival, you can join leagues with your friends and manage your own fantasy team on what race fans are calling, hands down, the best fantasy motorsport app out there. F1 and MotoGP leagues are now live for the 2021 season. Joining a league on Grid Rival will make every race more exciting, more engaging, and of course, more competitive. Download Grid Rival now on your iPhone or Android smartphone. Grid Rival is an unofficial application and not associated with Formula One, MotoGP, or any of their athletes.
So back here at the Pocono Raceway, working lap number 45, approaching the halfway point. Matt Wagner still the race leader. The gap shrinking, staying, I guess, about the same. About 2.5 seconds over Jim Brooks. Ty Richter, Vic Aldrich, J.W. Miller, James Watson, Cullen Johnston, Mike Barry, Charles Teed, Lee Huber, your top 10. Pick up Mike Barry here. He's going to be battling with Cullen Johnston. We'll stick with this battle as it's inside of 1/10 of a second, right about 1/10 of a second. Seemed like as soon as things close up between Jim Brooks and Ty Richter, they start to open themselves back out again. Same deal here with Mike Barry and Cullen Johnston. Not a lot of incentive to be going for the pass here. Coming around some lap traffic, Jim Brooks, Ty Richter, about a half second apart. Now working lap number 48, and we're getting into the window once again here for the next set of pit stops. The cars that were able to make it to lap 25, we would anticipate them having to stop a hair sooner because of the caution flag. We'll see when they decide to come in. Matt Jorgensen making his way down pit road, as is Jason Hand. Joseph Morales also in the pit area. Let's pick up the stop for the 61 of Morales. Oh, slides it into the box sideways. He's got to back it up. That's not an ideal way to get into the marks. Here comes Jim Brooks and Ty Richter, second and third on the racetrack, coming in at lap number 49. You would think probably Matt Wagner was able to save a little bit of fuel. The question is he going to need the splash late in the race here? Brooks and Richter side by side on their way out of pit lane. Race leader Matt Wagner is in. Both of those cars down and away cleanly. Let's pick up Matt Wagner as he makes his way down pit road. Vic Aldrich also on the pit lane. So critically important to not get a pit road speeding penalty. So Brooks and Richter stop at lap 49. Matt Wagner stops at lap number 50. He's down and away cleanly. 8.63 seconds for a full tank of Speedway Racing fuel and 4 Firestone Firehawk tires. Wagner coming back onto the racetrack right around Cullen Johnston and Mike Barry. These cars running third and fourth. It just came around the race leader, but they're still going to have to make their pit stops. Now, Barry stretched it to lap number 30. Didn't cost him too much. Wagner pulls down to the inside, has the look, not close enough to attempt to pass into turn number 1. Question now becomes, when do we see J.W. Miller, James Watson, Cullen Johnston, and Mike Barry make their way into the pits? And the answer is right now. Miller and Watson both going to be on the pit lane. Will follow along with their stops. And they were able to stretch it all the way out to lap number 53. So they will have to make one more stop. Both cars down and away. 8.47 for Miller, 8.4 for James Watson. It's going to put Matt Wagner back to the lead of the race. And we'll see if Mike Barry's going to be able to get the extra lap of fuel here once again. Jim Brooks and Ty Richter right there as well. That 2-second lead that Matt Wagner had has all but evaporated. And it was entirely on the in-laps and the out-laps. Because the pit lane time for Matt Wagner faster than both Brooks and Richter. Time of the stop split the difference between the two. Charles Teed hanging right in there as well. This is some pretty insane fuel saving by Mike Barry here. Could that become a factor late in this race? The top 4 all within a couple of seconds of each other. Barry's going to stay out for another lap. Here's Ty Richter looking to the inside of Barry. Barry able to keep it wound up on the outside. They'll drag race down towards turn number 2. Now Mike Barry making his way into the pit lane. So he made it all the way to lap 56 before his third stop. Not sure that it's going to get him a whole lot, though, because he's still going to have to make the same splash and dash. Battle for the race lead. Matt Wagner, Jim Brooks battling into turn number 3. 9.6 seconds time of the stop for Mike Barry. He missed his marks coming in. Has to get that car backed up. Lee Huber just setting the fastest lap of the race. 41.685 seconds. Unfortunately for Huber, he is running in the 10th position, 1 lap behind your race leader. The other good fight starting to develop here. James Watson and J.W. Miller, but they have a lap car between them. How about it? Top 3 all within a handful of car lengths as we are just past the halfway point. Brooks can have a look to the inside. Wagner runs the high line through turn 3. New race leader at the line, Jim Brooks in the area 51. Machine taking over the race lead at lap number 59. Wagner currently second in points, but without a win so far this season. He was dominant last season here in the Grid Rival ESRA IndyCar Series. Wagner with 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s, completing 384 laps. Oh man, Wagner may have gotten a piece of the outside safer barrier there. Richter able to gain a lot of time. Wagner once again very high on corner exit. Try to get you a closer look at the right-hand side of Matt Wagner's car. See if we can notice any damage. Front wing looks okay. Yeah, don't see any damage on the right-hand side of that car, so Matt Wagner's still clean and green. After the Thanksgiving break, the Grid Rival ESRA IndyCar Series is going to head off to the Nashville Super Speedway, followed by the Michigan International Speedway and the Kansas Roval, which is like 95% oval with a hard turn into the infield, a hairpin, straight run back out to the oval again. It's going to be an interesting one for sure. And that's the final race before the end of the 2021 calendar year, if you can believe that. Coming back with the Dover 150, then they head off to Road America and the Las Vegas Motor Speedway to wrap up this season on January 20th, 2022. Man, do I feel old. Our buddy Chris Casbier checking in on YouTube. I am well. How are you, sir? Appreciate you hanging out with us here. Chris, a big donor to our Linda's Speedway National Open broadcast this past weekend. A reminder, you can do that here as well, both on YouTube and on Twitch. We accept Super Chats. We have memberships available as well. Have to say a big welcome to all of our Hot Lap heroes that have joined the page here in the last week or so. Those members including Marcus Miller, Dave Van Brocklin, Jacob Darren, and Brett Howard. Thank you very much for choosing to support our hard work here on the National Racing Network. James Watson finally able to clear the lap traffic. Making up a little bit of time on J.W. Miller. Jim Brooks still your race leader. And it's only a couple of tenths that separate Brooks, Wagner, and Ty Richter here at the front of the field. Watson and Miller, again, they're going to see that gap start to shrink up. Chris Casimir's got the DeWeather Cancer Sucks Cock shirt on. Yes, fantastic t-shirts. The cock swag is pretty spectacular from our friends at DeWeather Center. Check them out on Facebook at DeWeather Center for the most offensively accurate weather forecast you'll find for eastern Pennsylvania. Get the weather in the first 90 seconds and stay for the comedy. James Watson tucked in on J.W. Miller down the front straightaway. It looks like Watson not in a big-time hurry here to get past. Already approaching the window opening up for what should be, potentially, allegedly, to use the hashtag, the final stops of the night for Jim Brooks, Matt Wagner, and Ty Richter. It will be the final stops for James Watson, J.W. Miller, Vic Aldrich possibly as well, but definitely Miller, Watson, and Johnston. They stopped at lap number 52. Their pit window isn't really going to open until about lap 75. And there you're right back to that magic number. Run the 25 laps that you need. Let's show you the gaps back to your race leaders here. Down to 7 cars remaining on the lead lap. Charles Teed, the first car, 1 lap down, but he may not be for long because Lee Huber is catching in a big-time hurry. If we get a caution flag, that will really change how this race plays out. Joseph Morales, Jeff Destino also battling for position. But the tightest fight on the racetrack right now is this battle between J.W. Miller and James Watson. If Miller and Watson were a little bit short on fuel, this could be a very concerted effort to stay behind the lap car of Matt Jorgensen. Try to make just a little bit more fuel, and that may be the difference here. If we see Brooks, Wagner, Richter, and Aldrich on the pit lane before lap 75, that is going to be a definitive answer. And I don't think they can make it that far. That would be a pretty massive fuel save all the way out to about 28 laps for these 3 cars at the front of the field. All the leaders going to stay out here to lap number 72. This is right at the window. Now, looking at the lap times, best lap for Jim Brooks is a 41.76, 42.58 the last lap for Brooks, 42.51 for Matt Wagner, 42.68 for Ty Richter. J.W. Miller and James Watson running about a 10th and a half quicker right now than the leaders, so they are making time up. And Miller and Watson did lose their drafting help as Matt Jorgensen came down pit road last time by. Last lap for J.W. Miller, 43.23, 42.84 for James Watson. They're in fuel save mode. It looks to me like they don't think the leaders can make it on one more stop. We have gone caution-free since a lap 1 incident. Collected a couple of cars. Seeing Mike Barry had an issue getting out of the pit lane. So it looks like Mike Barry going to finish in the 14th position here this evening. Here comes race leader Jim Brooks and Ty Richter. Oh, big lockup for Brooks. We'll see if he got the speeding penalty or not. Ty Richter, Vic Aldrich, all making their way down pit road here at lap number 75. This is going to be incredibly tight for them to make it on fuel the rest of the way. Oh, and Brooks got the speeding penalty. He's going to be held on pit road, seeing 17, now 18 seconds ticking off. Heartbreak for Jim Brooks. Same penalty as Charles Teed got. That's going to put Ty Richter and Vic Aldrich back on the racetrack. Cullen Johnston coming around the outside of Aldrich in turn 1. The question now becomes, when does Matt Wagner have to stop? Coming up next on the National Racing Network, it will be the Indy Pro 2000 Championship from the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. But we've still got 25 to go here at Pocono, and here comes Matt Wagner down pit road. No lockup. We'll see if Wagner's going to be able to get in and out of the box without penalty. Wagner stopping at lap number 76. Again, this is going to be very, very tight. Car's up on the jack, service completed. Wagner down and away. 8.3 seconds for 4 Firestone Firehawks and a full can of Speedway fuel. Now James Watson's gotten around J.W. Miller. Show you that pass on the Hot Shoe Racewear instant replay here. Watson down the front straightaway. Easily makes the pass into turn number 1. That could be the pass for the race lead if the rest of the leaders can't make it on fuel. Lee Huber coming around Charles Teed at the entrance to turn number 3. That's going to put Huber up to the front as Teed makes his way down pit road. So a caution would put Lee Huber back on the lead lap. Here comes James Watson for his final stop. J.W. Miller also going to make the run down pit road. Matt Wagner will come around to retake the lead. He's only 17 seconds back. The pit delta time, about 43 seconds. So still going to be a big loss here for Watson and Miller. The question still remains if the leaders are going to be able to make it on fuel. Watson down and away cleanly, 8.23 seconds, 8.5 for J.W. Miller. Lee Huber on his way down pit road right now. And here's the battle for the race lead. Matt Wagner has reclaimed the lead. Ty Richter holding on to second, about 2/3 of a second behind Wagner. It's going to be tight, but I think Matt Wagner may have enough fuel to make it to the end. He's going to need drafting help. Now, Cullen Johnston is just ahead of him. Johnston is currently in the voice chat with James Watson and J.W. Miller. I don't see Cullen Johnston giving Matt Wagner a ton of drafting help here. Lap number 81 going up on the scoreboard. We are down to 20 laps to go here at Pocono. Everybody back to running their quick lap times. Best lap for Wagner, 41.7. 42 flat the last lap time. I tend to think Wagner thinks he has enough fuel to make the end of this one. A late race caution, though, would absolutely change everything, as we've just crossed the 1 hour mark. Place they used to call the Indy of the East. The first handful of years that the track was hosting the IndyCar series, starting in 1972, Tony Hulman served as Grand Marshal, gave the command to start engines, and the legendary public address voice of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Tom Carnegie, served as public address announcer here at Pocono. Stops for Matt Wagner taking place at lap number 25, lap number 49, and lap number 75. Wagner now getting the drafting help from Jim Brooks, of all people. Brooks not yet 1 lap down, as he was the race leader. When he came in for the stops, however, a 40-second pit road speeding penalty has taken Jim Brooks out of contention. So what do you think here, race fans? Do we have a fuel battle on our hands? Does Matt Wagner have enough to make the end? Shaping up to be a pretty darn good finish here. The lead is 3 seconds now for Wagner over Richter. Brooks going to clear out of the way down to the inside. That's probably not what Matt Wagner wanted to see. But Brooks was so far off the pace that really couldn't do much with it there. And there is absolutely no help in front of Matt Wagner. Last lap for Wagner, 42.45. This time by 42.53. 42.4 for Ty Richter. James Watson and J.W. Miller are closing at about a half second a lap. The problem is they're about 17 seconds in arrears right now. Something tells me this is going to be very, very tight. And the other question is, even if Matt Wagner runs out of fuel in turn 3, he could probably coast to the win. Ty Richter 3 seconds back. Vic Aldrich another 3 seconds back. So if you're Matt Wagner, no sense not to go for it here late in this race. Field now working lap number 90. It'll be 10 to go next time by. Matt Jorgensen having an issue out on the racetrack. Take a look and see what happened there on the Hot Shoe Racewear instant replay. Oh man, that was odd. Car just snapped hard into the outside safer barrier. He takes the tow back into the pits. We stay under green. No danger to other cars on the racetrack. The gap is not shrinking by much here for James Watson and J.W. Miller. Take a look back here at Ty Richter. He's all by himself. Probably in a pretty big fuel save at this point, because his last lap of 42.82. Vic Aldrich making his way through turn number 1. His last lap, 43.16. Here's James Watson and J.W. Miller. They're closing. The gap's down to 16 seconds. But it may not be enough, as we are down to just 8 laps to go. And there is a green-white checkered finish in the Grid Rival ESRA IndyCar Series. One attempt. That it would definitively put Wagner, Richter, and Aldrich in a position where they have to pit. Watson and Miller could try to chance it. Miller and Watson continue to close to the tune of about 3 to 4 tenths per lap. The gap 16.5 seconds. All along, though, they've been relying on the fact that the race leaders would not be able to go 25 laps on the tank of fuel. Joseph Morales coming in for a quick splash and dash. 4.9 seconds. Matt Wagner on the 18th lap of this stint. Ty Richter, Vic Aldrich on their 20th lap. Watson and Miller, 16. It's not a big difference, but it might be enough. So what do you think, fans? I think we were at commercial on Twitch when we asked, does Matt Wagner, Ty Richter, or Vic Aldrich have enough fuel to make it to the end? Wagner now getting some drafting help. It's not much, but you could be talking a couple of liters, we'll say half a gallon in freedom units. "90210" saying, I don't think so. It's going to be tight. His call, the top two were out of fuel before the last lap. Here's where that makes things very, very interesting. Vic Aldrich only has 6 seconds on James Watson and J.W. Miller. He could maybe coast across the line, but it's going to be tight. And he would run out of fuel about the same time that Ty Richter does. Matt Wagner was able to go 2 laps further. Lap 98 on the scoreboard, 3 to go. Not exactly edge of your seat thrilling, but Wagner dipping down. He's trying to get the draft. He needs all the help he can get at this point. It's not a side-by-side battle for the race lead. It's a can he make it battle. Down the front straightaway, a couple of popsicle sticks at the start-finish line. 2 to go. At this point, if you're Wagner, Richter, and Aldrich, you're committed. No sense in making the stop now. Wagner clears the lap traffic. Tight battling going on just behind the race leader here. Off at turn number 3, white flags in the air, 1 to go for Matt Wagner here at Pocono. Does he have 2.5 miles left in the tank? Jeff Destino just ahead. Through the tunnel turn for the final time. Matt Wagner can just about coast from here with an 8-second lead. Through turn number 3. Down the front straightaway, twin checkers in the air. Matt Wagner wins at Pocono. Ty Richter off the final corner. He will come across the line in second. Vic Aldrich will come home in the 3rd position. James Watson holds on for 4th. J.W. Miller rounds out your top 5. Ultimately, the strategy call was probably about a lap off, maybe 2. But what a fuel-saving job for Matt Wagner. The car still has enough fuel to get him back around. It is still running right now. Not sure how much he's going to have left in the tank for the victory donuts, but let's show you the race results here. Matt Wagner getting the win by 8 seconds over Ty Richter. Vic Aldrich rounds out the podium. James Watson, J.W. Miller, your top 5. Lee Huber, Jim Brooks, Cullen Johnston, Jeff Destino, and Joseph Morales complete the top 10. All of those cars 1 or more laps down. TJ McMurray, Matt Jorgensen, Charles Teed, Mike Barry, and Jason Hand will round out the field. Zach Evans did not start here this evening. Jorgensen was able to come around for the podium photo. Ty Richter is crawling down the front stretch. That's how tight things were on fuel. Great look there at your top 3 finishers, and let's start things off here with the victory lane interviews, and we'll bring out our 3rd place finisher tonight here, Victor Aldrich. I tell you what there, Victor, this was a big-time fuel-saving battle. It seemed like from the end of the caution flag at lap 5. How tight were you on fuel at the end of this one?
Yeah, the red light came on as I was coming out of turn 3 with 1 to go, so I knew it was close, and we were on map 4 or map 5, all of us coming around that last stint.
This was does it kind of, how does your brain process that kind of race where you have the early first lap caution, you're thinking, okay, it's going to be one of them races too. Oh my God, we're 70 laps into this thing and we haven't had another caution flag yet. How does that change the thought process, or does it?
It does. I was even talking about if a caution came out at lap 10, that's when I would have came in, but we never got that caution. So from then on, it was just fuel save and making that number meet at 100. And fortunately, we were able to do it just by the skin of our teeth. I wish I had enough for a donut at the end, but that was great.
Well, a fantastic podium finish for you tonight here, and pretty good points tonight as well for you. So congratulations on that. And let's get the sponsor plugs and thank yous in before we let you go here.
Oh, yeah, Team Sierra Kilo, we are back on the podium. I'm here with my man Connor Baldwin was out tonight, so I'm pretty happy about that. Team Watson Racing, Nitro Circus, we got Martin Sports, NRN. We're all big supporters of you guys, so thank you so much for everything you do.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much. We appreciate the kind words. And let's bring in our runner-up finisher here tonight, Ty Richter. And Ty, I think you were the closest of all here because it looked like you may have been out of fuel off of 3 and barely made the podium.
Well, I ran out going into 1 after I crossed the stripe, basically. So just barely enough. I had to save about a gallon on that last one, but I made it work.
That was one of those deals where a gallon is about all it's going to take, and that's, obviously you were able to get it done. What was going through your head? And it's a very similar question to what I posed to Victor, but you run that first lap, you have the early caution, and then you don't get another one. How does that change your thought process behind the wheel of, I need to do a little fuel saving to I need to do a lot of fuel saving?
Actually, I wasn't really thinking about fuel until about the second to last stint, because I don't know how I calculated it, but I did something wrong, and I thought I was going to have to take an extra stop about like 9 laps before the finish, basically. And I realized, like, wait a minute, I didn't really save all that much in the middle of the race, but if in hindsight I should have, obviously, because I had the least of the top 3. But yeah, so I wasn't really thinking about fuel then, because I thought I was gonna have to take an extra stop anyways. And made it work, squeezed it in.
Well, you got it in, you got it done, and not a bad points night for you here. You entered the night 12th in points. Good couple of good back-to-back races. In fact, you gained 4 after last week. You're going to gain a bunch more this week. Got to be a pretty big boost here as we start to head towards the midpoint of the season.
Oh, heck yeah. Always love big points. Podiums, you take those.
All right, buddy. Well, congratulations here on the runner-up finish tonight, and let's get the sponsor plugs and thank yous in before we let you go.
Thanks, Team Watson, James, everybody, all the team sponsors. Thank you. I gotta work on that.
We'll take it. Thanks, buddy. Good luck. We'll be hopefully talking to you next week. Let's bring in now our race winner for the night, Matt Wagner. And we were having the conversation with the viewers of, is he going to make it? Isn't he going to make it? It looked like you were pretty darn good because you were able to complete the victory lap all the way around under power as well.
Yeah, I was during the first stint. That was our game plan to when that caution came out, it kind of set the bar of, am I going to make it to the rest of the way or are we not? So I elected not to pit, and those caution laps really helped me get to the end. That was the big key. But those guys who pitted on that pit stop, I'm surprised they didn't push any harder.
Well, you know what? It was one of those deals of, you basically had full tanks to begin with. You almost wonder, was it too early of a caution to have been able to make that strategy work?
Oh, no. You probably saved about, probably about 2.5, maybe 2.5 gallons to 2 gallons. That's plenty, plenty to save. I think that would be pretty good.
Well, you're carrying the number 1 on the car this season as the defending champion, and you're going to leave here tonight as the points leader. JW is still going to be very close, coming home in 5th. Charles Teed, a little bit of a surprise to see him back finishing in 13th tonight, but everybody else was either not in the race, a little bit deeper in the field. It really, I mean, the next big competition, quite frankly, could be James Watson, who was 7th in points entering tonight. You've got to be feeling very, very confident in this one.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident. Charles is one of my biggest threats, and so is JW. And don't count him out, and don't count out James. I ain't gonna count them all out for any means. There is a couple surprise racers that do race the series from time to time. It's they are a great big threat for the wins every week. So we'll try to keep the car up front.
Well, that's it. When you have the interlopers come in, you can't necessarily count on picking up wins or podiums. So is it really one of those, if you're going to keep the foot down the rest of the season and there's no let-off?
No, it's one step at a time, one track at a time. Lots of practice, and I'll have to put in some of these upcoming tracks. These road courses, some of these road courses I've barely ran, and I'm going to have to put some more time into them.
Yeah, looking ahead to the schedule here, next week we go to Spa, obviously, where we had a very entertaining race last year. Then the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Oval, Long Beach, and Iowa before the Thanksgiving break. Any of those stand out to you as kind of right in my wheelhouse, or, man, I am really not looking forward to that one?
Well, speaking of Indianapolis, that is one of my wheelhouses. Won a pretty big race last year at Indy, and that in Iowa. I love Iowa. That is a great IndyCar track, and I wish IndyCar, if you're listening, please bring back Iowa.
They are.
I miss that track. They are bringing it
back. They are. A doubleheader next year. I can't wait. We are going to be drinking moonshine and corn country next year, brother.
Oh, God, thank God. They needed to bring that track so bad. That is a great IndyCar track. And I don't know why they done away with it last year. That was so disappointing.
Yeah,
but,
well, and this place, Pocono, is another one, quite frankly, that I think needs to get back on the schedule. Tell the drivers not to be idiots and bring it back. But before we let you go here, let's make sure we get all the sponsor plugs and thank yous taken care of.
Well, big shout out to my buddy Charles Teed. Charles, if you're listening, I'm sorry, brother, but spinning up pit road, I've been there before, and it sucks. And it is what it is. So, big shout out to HyperX, my team, Area 51 League, Troy Lee Designs, LMC Gear. Guys, I love you. You have yourself a great night there, boss.
Hey, thank you, bud. You too. We appreciate it, and we'll hopefully be talking to you again next week when we head off to the Spa-Francorchamps circuit in Belgium. And with that, it is time for us to get out of here and get ready for race number 2 of the doubleheader coming up here tonight on the National Racing Network. It will be the Indy Pro 2000 official series coming to you from the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. A very good layout for the PM18s. Those cars are a lot of fun to watch get thrown around there, and the drafting is enormous in the corners. So make sure you don't want to miss that one coming up at 10:15 here in the East. But until then, for Connor Baldwin and everybody here at the National Racing Network, my name is Chris Graham. It has been a pleasure to have you hanging out with us so far this evening. We will talk to you all soon. Have a good night, everybody.
Have you joined the fastest growing fantasy motorsports app yet? On Grid Rival, you can join leagues with your friends and manage your own fantasy team on what race fans are calling, hands down, the best fantasy motorsport app out there. F1 and MotoGP leagues are now live for the 2021 season. Joining a league on Grid Rival will make every race more exciting, more engaging, and of course, more competitive. Download Grid Rival now on your iPhone or Android smartphone. Grid Rival is an unofficial application and not associated with Formula One, MotoGP or any of their athletes.